Good morning and welcome to the 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery webinar. My name is Michael Bailey and today is Wednesday, July 20th, 2016. And today I'm just going to start with my introduction and then we'll begin. Thank you for joining us every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern for a more in-depth discussion of the 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery and how they can be utilized to create true joy, happiness, inner peace, and personal prosperity, both emotional and financial. Part of the process of spiritual integration of our higher selves for the expansion of our consciousness involves reprogramming the way we think. Our thoughts create our reality. The 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery, when embodied and lived, will help to change our thought patterns, thoughts that we simply take for granted because they are part of our programming. The changing of thought patterns actually changes the programming in our physical body and DNA. The 12 Attitudes and Responsibilities of Mastery are crucial to understanding what kinds of choices lead to what kind of outcomes, and provide guidelines regarding choices that lead towards oneness, healing, unity, true joy, peace, and freedom from lack and limitation, qualities associated with true personal mastery. And today, we're nearing the end of this handbook, so it's going to talk a little bit about working with techniques that have been referred to in previous sessions. So I'll stop periodically if you have any questions. Working with the techniques. Let me just explain what a technique is. A technique is just, it's sort of a combination of a meditation, sort of a ritual. It's something you do that you focus attention on, and you're using energy to manipulate and change other energy. It's energy you use to change energy. Working with the techniques, you will see sides of yourself that you never knew existed. It's important to stay detached and cordless, and to just breathe through it. Waves of feelings and emotions may move through your body. Allow them to pass, and remember, just breathe. Above all, exercise a little kindness and gentleness with yourself and others. The freedom teachings are sprinkled throughout with wonderful ways you can use the techniques to not only accrete frequency into your template, but also how to protect yourself, both on an inner and an outer level. Below are some of the ways you can use the flames of consciousness, the code beings, LTRs, which are linguistic template reprogramming templates, which are basically spoken affirmations, sacred songs, and your God-given imaging power to co-create a safe environment. We also included the 12 Actions of Mastery from the Dance For series to act as a basic blueprint for you to develop your own daily practice towards mastery. Most importantly, focus on developing quality, purity and power of energy running and technique usage, and group cohesion built upon mutual egalitarian respect, personal spiritual maturity development, and sincere soul love. We will all do just fine if we keep our spiritual priorities straight and apply spiritual love, respect, and trust in our inner Christos power to ourselves and to every person we meet or speak to. Some things to ponder. What does your daily practice of the techniques consist of? What do you do to make the techniques your own? How do you use the linguistic template reprogramming grids, the code beings, flames of consciousness, and the sacred songs to co-create a safe and loving environment? And these are things that we're going to go over, some of these things. And some suggested affirmations. I love, respect, and trust my inner Christos now. I am this. I am. And this first section is about mastering fearlessness, ways to protect yourself. And the image up in the corner, this is called the Akasha, and this is a symbol that represents the time matrix, our particular time matrix that we exist within. It can be used as what's called a hierophant in many techniques. Protective shields. These are basically visualized. You just visualize them as shields. There are different types. Rubberized to bounce energies back to their source. Reflective to reflect energies back to their origin. Deflective, which act as armor. Teflon, which just lets energy slide off. And transformative, so that energies transform when they hit the shield. And there are basic types of flames. Use the image intention of a high-frequency colored Akasha-shaped flame as the basis for the protective shields around you. And these are some various flames, the heliotalic, the aquiline sun, and Maharic frequencies. And this image up here in the upper right-hand corner is the Akasha-shaped flame. Codes. Use the image of a code as a protective shield. Breathe the code into you, or imagine it inside you. Then expand it out around you, and become the code. Use linguistic template reprogramming statements, I am statements, and songs, which are songs basically, or other affirmative statements and invocations to strengthen the protective shields around you. The truth of the Christ always protects. Use your voice to command. Practice it until when you command, you can feel an answering resonance in your body or your biofields. By the power of my own Christos, I fill in the blank. Using the power of your Christos is a powerful and effective way to command. Learn to become invisible. Pull your energies in close to your body so they become like a second skin. Use commands or statements to reinforce that others cannot see you. For example, I am invisible now. Practice activating your cloak of invisibility, or it's called the cloak of Arcturus, by saying something like, Cloak of Arcturus, activate now. And even if your mind does not understand what that is, your DNA does. Look down at your Maharic shield. Now the Maharic shield is about 6 inches below your feet, and it's about 3 feet across, and it's usually a silver disc, about 3 feet in diameter. So look down at your Maharic shield and see, sense, feel, or imagine where there are distortions or open doors. Use a Christic frequency of your choice to spray or hose down your Maharic shield. For example, white or pale silver. Those are probably the most effective colors of energies, because color is frequency. To use a Christic frequency of your choice to spray or hose down your Maharic shield and clear any distortions and close any doors that you might have left open. Cancel any contracts or vows that you have made in any time-space dimension, knowingly or unknowingly, that do not support your Christic evolution now. Practice standing in your power and learn to feel what that feels like. Say no to any incoming that you don't want. and then use techniques above or any others we have been gifted with, we stand in the Christ. Learn to sense energetic signatures. Learn something called the epsilon sequence or the astral body seal basic techniques for disengaging astral field manipulation. If anyone's interested, I have these two techniques. If anybody wants them, I'd be happy to send them to you. 10, do not zone out. This also refers to getting drunk or getting high, anything like that makes you vulnerable to external energies. Be aware of your environment and of the places and people around you. Learn to recognize if something seems out of place or if there's a break in the pattern. Seal mirrors and shiny surfaces, such as doorknobs, door plates, in all locations, including public restrooms. Project the Akasha or the Rosetta code into them to seal the portals. In your home, project the Rosetta code or the Akasha code around you and extend it all the way from the earth core all the way up to source. And just imagine that source is way out there above you. Always use the questions for discernment if or when you hear voices talking to you that are not your own. There's a difference between that and self-talk. Never directly engage anything that pops into your hologram, your reality. To engage, you have to lower your frequency to the level of the entity that wants to engage you. Focus on the Christ. This keeps your frequency high. Do immediate protection techniques such as the dial-up, the Crystal River Prayer, the Song of Lyra, or the Mahark Seal. Or you can just say, Re Havaya un Crystallo, Re Havaya un Crystallo, Re Havaya un Crystallo, 3 times. You can also squeeze your right hand 3 times and push out. Just imagine an aquiline sun. Aquiline is a very, very pale shade of blue. Just push it out of the palm of your hand. There's a chakra in the palm of your hand. Then invoke protection of the Guardian Alliance. Continue to breathe and strengthen your fields with your focus on I am God. I am this I am. And by the power of my own Christos, I am invincible. Because if you believe something, that becomes your reality. Learn to laugh if the energy around you feels heavy or something feels off. Laughter is the same frequency as love and will serve to break up or dissipate many energetic intrusions. Schedule some time each day to work with your eternal Christic self. I set aside at least 1 hour, usually 2, every day, no matter what. It doesn't matter what happens, no matter how early I have to get up in the morning. I do it before bed. I always take at least an hour. These are just suggestions. These aren't have-tos. These are just suggestions. Any questions so far?
Hey, Michael.
Hi, Kelly.
Since you mentioned that, was it the lullaby you just mentioned that you had sung before?
Oh, the Re Havaya un Crystallo.
Yeah, will you sing that again?
It's a mantra. Re Havaya un Crystallo. Re Havaya un Crystallo. Re Havaya un Crystallo. I'll go slower. Re Havaya un Crystallo. It's usually Re Havaya un Crystallo, Re Havaya un Crystallo, Re Havaya un Crystallo. And if you can project, yourself and your well, your personal power into it. Like, re habea un cristallo, re habea un cristallo, re habea un cristallo. It's very powerful.
All right, thank you.
The 12 actions of mastery. Number 1, and again, these are just suggestions, daily use of something called the Maharat Quick Seal in the morning upon awakening and at night prior to going to sleep. Now, once the Maharat Seal is set in your shield, which is the programming of your physical body, you can substitute flame body activation, the Crystal River Prayer, or what's called the Grail program. There are newer techniques since this material was written. So if you're interested in any of these, I can send these to you. The Crystal River Prayer is probably the most effective. Daily use of the Manu technique, Akasha Sans magic words. Let me see if I can remember them. Well, it's a mantra similar to Re Havea Un Cristallo. They're called the magic words of co-creation. Daily use of what are called Akasha Manu salutations. Salutations are a type of movement similar to yoga, either solar or lunar, including what are called the Suryas, which are, again, little further movements, very much like yoga. Once you have completed flame body activation techniques, salutations or Suryas are only required if nudged by your inner guidance. Restoring the Miage field every 3 to 4 days. Daily use of the Trion field exercise 1, which are VECA codes. The VECA codes probably don't need to be used too much anymore, but they can be helpful. And I'll make any of these available to anybody. Daily use of code inductions. Now, code induction, let me back up here for a minute so we can, for example, of a code. Up here in the corner, that is a code. That's called the Akasha. If you look at the code, and kind of let your eyes go out of focus, almost so you're seeing a double image of it. And as you exhale, imagine that you're exhaling a beam, an indigo beam, it's indigo in color, from your third eye. It goes out and it spreads out around the code. And then when you inhale, you're pulling it back in. You're pulling it right back in to your third eye and goes into your pineal gland. This is called optical pineal induction. So if you can do that, and then you can expand any code out. You can just use the breath and expand it out around you. All right, let me get back to where I was. Whoops, went too far. Okay, code inductions. Daily use of the Song of Lyra. I'll give you an example. I'll sing the Song of Lyra. It's personalized for me, but Maharata Kumbai Vectus Maranayana Inevocaium Niblium Bivecti Maha Bivecti Un Ore Ornam Ur Iste unte ista trasjahera Patate uma ashalum thaeja intadoe sharai ore akumtan akumtan sharai ore akumtan akumtan sharai ore akumtan. Now, doing that will also activate your Maharat shield. So it does both. And these are amazingly powerful. Use of the tangible structure of the soul audio course techniques. One tape every 3 to 4 months as a weekly meditation. Begin an a physical exercise program geared toward increasing cardiovascular capacity, and incorporate some form of daily stretching, or what are called logayanas, which are again very much like yoga, into your daily schedule to assist and help your body to integrate progressive DNA template activation, also Kundalini and Merkaba activations. Use the exercises, which are called arrayas, as outlined in something called the Aquatone Daily Grail Integrated Life Fitness Program, to assist in building axiotonal meridian line and muscle strength. Axiotonal and meridian lines are energy conduits within the body. These are the ones that acupuncture takes advantage of. There are things you can do to strengthen them and to help clear them. Pay attention to your body. Increase the intake of pure water. Drink lemon water tonics, and cut back on heavy foods. Some more suggestions. Pay attention to your body and become sensitive to energy rushes, energy drains, prickly feelings or sensations, localized numbness, head, back, or joint aches, or spleen pain, all of which are signs of active DNA template activation. When such signs are noticed, increase your intake of pure water, cut back on heavy foods, and drink a fresh lemon and water tonic beverage throughout the activation days to assist the body in clearing toxins. This will make a big difference in your comfort level during activations. Now, most of these activations have already passed because this material was written some years ago, but they're still ongoing. And this last one is probably one of the most powerful. At least every 2 days, take a morning or evening salt soda bath. Table salt or bath salts mixed in equal parts with standard baking soda in a tub of warm bath water. I prefer sea salt. I use sea salt with magnesium in it, but Epsom salt is fine. It's a little more expensive. This becomes progressively more important with DNA and Merkaba activation progression as the soda, water, and salt combination literally draws toxic residues from the miasmic clearing out of your body through the pores and your chakras. Miasmic toxins can lead to physical illness if they build up in the body. And if you don't have a bath, let's say you only have a shower, you can soak your feet in warm salt soda pail for 10 to 15 minutes, allowing the toxins to be drawn out of the foot chakras. And number 13, work consciously on a daily basis to explore, integrate, and develop a greater understanding of the 12 attitudes and responsibilities of mastery. And I have many of these things in documents, and if anybody would like any, just let me know. Now, this next section is a worksheet, and I actually have this worksheet available as a document if anybody would like it. It's called Aware, Awake, and Able, Keys to Self-Empowerment and Self-Sovereignty Worksheet. I'm going to pause here for just a minute. I'm going to pull something else up. Let me see here. Here it is. Can you see my screen? Can you see this?
Not yet, Michael.
Okay, hold on a second. I just need to change something here. I'll tell you what, I'll just read it.
It almost came up.
No?
Yeah, just read it. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll just read it.
Now we don't, okay.
We use the attitudes and responsibilities of mastery to practice doing in order to be versus being in order to become. The pre-ancient Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order, or MCEO, perspectives teach of the inner Christos, or living God Spirit alive within all things, including the natural environment. Inner Christos philosophies are built upon an understanding of what is referred to as the Law of One. The Inner Christos Law of One perspective respectfully acknowledges the interconnection, interdependence, and intrinsic value of all components of reality, in recognition that the living consciousness, God Spirit, or Inner Christos, is the tangible substance of consciousness and energy from and of which all things manifest are composed. The word Christos, with a CH, was originally spelled with a K, Christos, in the most ancient texts, and referred to the personal divine blueprint of conscious living God Spirit energy, of which all things and beings manifest are made. MCEO Inner Christos Law of One teachings, Templar sciences knowledge, and pre-ancient history records of the CDT plate teachings represent an intrinsically congruent paradigm of universal understanding. Collectively, the MCEO teachings are referred to as the Emerald Covenant Freedom Teachings and are a subset of a very ancient set of texts called the Mahabharata texts. The Mahabharata texts provide a detailed understanding of the condition of humankind, such that if human beings are to survive, they need to become free of the template distortions they took on in order to incarnate, and help to heal the long-suffering land of Earth and its races as a part of the Christos realignment mission. These distortions manifest in our personal shields and fields, including something called the epigenetic overlay, or ego. The result being that a majority of our apartheid, or energy receivers, are receptive to non-Christic frequencies, Metatronic frequencies, what we would call evil, basically. These distortions outpicture in how we interact with others, whether on a personal level or in the society as a whole. In a Christic society, we naturally epitomize the impeccability of what's called eonic behavior. These standards are called the attitudes and responsibilities of mastery. These eonic standards do not embody the freedom or luxury to exercise our distortions. They do not permit us to hurl insults at another, take another's inventory, point fingers, exhibit racism, etc., all things considered freedom of speech or freedom of expression. They are expressions, but of what? Stepping through ascension portals requires alignment of a certain percentage of our personal shields to the divine blueprint and continuously open to primal life currents. These are eternal flows that are eternal. The freedom teachings were given to help us heal and remember our true divine heritage, which facilitates the essential potentiality for our personal opening to the increasing influx of primal life currents. The attitudes and responsibilities of mastery are guidelines to help us develop a depth of composure to set an environment in which divine right action and divine right order can be realized. In deciding whether to explore this area of mastery, we have to exercise the power of choice and then act. This can be called the choice and action mechanism. Embedded within this mechanism are the conditions of being aware, awake, and able. In order to more fully align with our heroic probability, we condition ourselves to be more aware of what we are doing and saying. we strive to be more awake or conscious of what we are actually creating in our hologram. And then we act. We use the power of free will choice to either move towards a state of negative composure, decomposed, or a state of positive composure, composed, which results in either a plus or minus level of divine right expression and or divine right action in our hologram. This results in an essential shift in our relationship with time, cause and effect, progressively recalibrating our relationship between the distortions inherent to the imperatives of survival, wants and needs of victim-victimizer issues, to a self-confident expression of Christic preference in our transactions with the localized planetary and galactic hologram. Part of the process of spiritual integration of our higher selves or expansion of our consciousness involves reprogramming the way we think. Our thoughts create our reality and the life experience we have internally and externally. The attitudes and responsibilities, when embodied and lived, will help to change our thought patterns. Because they are part of the programming we currently carry, we take these thoughts for granted. Changing the thought patterns actually changes the programming in the personal shields, and successfully doing so presupposes that we successfully bring our conscious attention to the mindless patterns of our brain. Living with and as the A&Rs is a way of life, a way of being. Living with and as the A&Rs are conditions of perception. Without an inner and outer focus on the state and healing of our consciousness, we see life through filters, with no clarity of mind or thought. A life of Christic consciousness will lead us to the Manu point, that still point within, through which we can see clearly the higher choices necessary for divine right action and divine right order. The practical purpose of these teachings is to truly free and empower all through expanded consciousness and educated enlightenment, through which reverence, respect, love, and cooperative co-creation are fostered within the global community. These perspectives fully embrace geophysical planetary healing as an intrinsic consequence of personal alignment and expansion. Okay, I wanted to read that because I wanted to have some context for what aware, awake, and able means. The point of focus is personal power. Whoops, wait a second. Let me go back to the screen. Here we go. That implicitly relates to personal awareness, safety, and confidence issues and leads to the questions. Number one, how do you currently use your personal power? How does that affect the accumulation of more? How is your additional power consciously used? How does that further accumulate? Power, or more accurately, powerlessness, is the core issue shared by all humans. It is programmed deeply into the collective psyche. All the paradoxes spin around the victim-victimizer blame game. What are some of the ways you identify with things that are not really good for you? How does this serve you? What are you trying to protect? What does power mean to you? The masks we wear. The masks of how you should be and must be eventually become the mask that you know as your true authentic self. So, what are some of the masks you wear on a day-to-day basis? What purpose do they serve? What do you think would happen if you took them off? What feelings come up at the thought of taking them off? Be conscious. Do not zone out. Be present and practice mindfulness. Where are the thoughts and ideas you get coming from? Distortions, perhaps? Be aware of what you are noticing, thinking, doing. Be aware when you zone out. What are some of the ways we can use to buy time? And how do we re-instruct the body vehicle? Do a reality check. Take a moment and look back at the person you see as yourself. Look at the things you are going through in order to maintain certain stuff. Conveniences, appearances, space for working, convenience in terms of friends, etc. And ask yourself, is that service or is that a distraction? Where does it support you? Where does it not support you? Are you willing to release it all in order to move forward? If not, what's keeping you from it? Does the thought of releasing that which no longer serves you result in a feeling of fear, of tightness? What does your body feel right now at that very thought? A stoic, noble stance I will hold in appropriate or perfect bearing in context of the circumstance around me. That's actually a line from what's called the Song of Aurora. And it's, what does holding a stoic, noble stance mean? How would you do that? What does in context of the circumstances around me mean? Every day is a lesson in mastery. Every moment. Are you awake enough to recognize this? Do you recognize the lessons in every person you meet and every situation you face? You all have power. You all are very powerful. How are you going to get in a place to express any of this power? How are you going to demonstrate that you are actually capable of handling that power? How are you handling it? Are you accepting it and putting it to the highest, I think that means test you can, or are you fearful of it? Do you tell yourself you are little, or small, or weak, or powerless? Or do you know you are big? Take responsibility for your manifestations and step into power. When it comes to feeling victimized, what was your role in creating that manifestation? What was your part in making that happen? If you are choosing to play a victim, what you did on the subtle end of it, what did you do on the subtle end of it that allowed it to happen? Remember, it takes two to tango. People like quick fixes. We have been trained to like everything quick. Have somebody else do our dirty work for us. Make it easy. Make it fast. I want it now. cryptocurrency is is a perfect example of this, because we've been trained to expect the bank to take care of everything. Now we have to become personally responsible for our own security, for our own money, for our own due diligence. If an angel, a fallen angelic, an ET, or your neighbor promises to give you something, ask why. Really start to think about it. Do I really want them to? Why might they want to do that for me? Is it good for them to do that for me? Is it good for me, for them to do that for me? Do not get hung up in the New Age pitfalls. This is about discernment, understanding real motivation and where it's coming from. And these are questions you can ask yourself. We can ask for help. However, the beloveds, who are the higher beings that bring these teachings to us, make it clear that contact presupposes 50-50 effort, yours and theirs, beginning with yours. Whoops, I hit the button too quickly. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, going the wrong way. 1 second. There we go. Do you have a daily practice? And if not, why not? Is it because you don't have enough time? That's the most common thing I hear when somebody asks me, how did you get to be so happy where you are? I said, well, because I do daily practice. And then, well, I want to be there. Well, here's some suggestions. I don't have time. That's the most common excuse I hear. I don't have time. Because of the distortions in the grids here on Earth, it is recommended that you do some type of technique every day, even if it's just meditation. This will increase your frequency quotient and help keep you connected to the acoustic shield. The practice of the A&Rs will help stabilize the effects of techniques. The power of saying no. And no means no. It is sometimes easy when these programs, these VV programs, victim-victimizer programs, start to run, to stop them simply by standing in our power, which is considerable, and just say no. I can't tell you how many times I forget that very simple tactic. Do you love yourself enough to say no when something is not good for you? Do you love yourself enough to say no when everyone else is telling you to say yes? Energy sensing. How do we recognize when an attack is coming? How do we recognize what is not good for us? And this could be people, food, reading material, a place, music, on and on and on. How do we recognize what is not good for us? Resonance alignment imagery and clearing your living environment. Have you looked at the pictures or the artwork hanging in your house? What type of objects do you have around you? Do they support you, or do they support something else? What kind of attachments do you have to the stuff? Look closely and see if fallen angelic energies could possibly come through them. encryption. How do you recognize encryption? And I'm not talking about cryptographic encryption. I'm talking about, let me think of another word for encryption. Just a general sense that you get from someone or something. So how do you recognize encryption? Can you feel it in your body when you are near someone or something whose encryption clashes with yours? Frequency signatures. Can you recognize the frequency that harmonizes with yours? How do you recognize frequency that harmonizes with yours? Can you recognize frequency that does not? When making choices, can you recognize the difference in frequency between probable outcomes? Honoring yourself. Become the director of your own elemental body, including treating yourself with respect. Denying self blocks balance. What does it mean to honor and respect yourself? What have you done today to celebrate yourself? Recognizing our I am presence. I am this I am is realizing that you are a walking manifest face or spark of God. You are God. It is saying, let my will be thy will, but not to some fallen angelic, not to a guru, but to the one source that a part of you will always know is you as God. Try to feel for a moment. Try to say to yourself in your mind, I am a walking face of God. I am this. I am a manifestation of God. I am God. Try talking to the part of you that is God. Say to that God self, let my will be thy will. The I am presence is something that really gets bantered about in the New Age community, and I think it's very misunderstood. And one big difference is there's a big difference between saying I am that I am and saying I am this I am. Become the master of your own universe. Within self-discovery lies the potential to realize you are master of your own universe. Without the desire to treat all of yourself with honesty, nothing will change. This becomes real only to the degree that you master yourself. Say daily, I stand in my Christic power. By the power of my own Christos, I am invincible. I treat myself with honesty and respect. I am the master of my own universe. Right now, we have to not only get our bodies to where they can go through biologically through stargates, but we have to evolve our minds and our attitudes to where we would not be a threat if we were invited to visit a Christos society. A Christic society is built on love, not on shadows. Built on love, not on egos. And I think I'm going to pause here, end here for today. We'll finish this worksheet up next week. If anyone would like a copy of this worksheet or any of the other things that I referred to in this, just shoot me an email. I'd be happy to send any of these things to you. Any questions or comments?
It's awesome as usual, Michael. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, well, we'll see you all next week, next Thursday, or next Wednesday, excuse me, at 1 o'clock Eastern.